Thornton Township Supervisor Tiffany Henyard, who was appointed to that position tonight, lost her bid for the Democratic Party's nomination in this rarely used.
15 months after our first WGN Investigates report on questionable spending by South Suburban politician Tiffany Henyard, it appears she has been forced off the ballot.
It seems like chaos is the only constant in the life of Tiffany Henyard, the embattled mayor of Dolton, Illinois, and the now ousted Thornton Township supervisor. In a whirlwind of political drama, legal battles, and public outrage, Henyard has once again found herself at the center of controversy. From being booted off the Democratic ballot to accusations of reckless spending, it's safe to say her political career is hanging by a thread. But is this the end for Henyard, or is she gearing up for a comeback? Let's dive into the juicy details. Picture this: a cold, bustling evening in Homewood, Illinois. Hundreds of people gather at the Homewood Flossmoor Park District Auditorium, eager to participate in a rare Democratic caucus that would determine the nominees for Thornton Township's leadership positions. It was the first time in 30 years that a caucus, rather than a primary, was used for this purpose. And at the heart of the drama was none other than Tiffany Henyard, fighting to keep her position as township supervisor.
Fooled on how the Democratic caucus works right here in Thornton Township. You can also say that she flunked out because her name is not appearing on the ballot.
But before the event even began, cracks in Henyard's plan were starting to show. According to the rules, any candidate running for township supervisor needed a full slate of 8 people to qualify. This included positions like highway director, clerk, assessor, and trustees. Henyard's ticket, however, was missing a certified assessor, and that alone was enough to have her disqualified. Her name was never even allowed on the ballot. Instead, Illinois State Senator and Thornton Township Democratic Committeeman Napoleon Harris seized the nomination for himself, securing his spot as the Democratic candidate for supervisor. The room was filled with tension as Henyard lashed out at Harris, accusing him of running an illegal and unfair process. "You didn't run none of this the right way," she shouted. "Illegal Napoleon." Her frustration was palpable, and the mood in the room quickly turned sour. Supporters of Harris sang a mocking rendition of a late 60s pop classic as Henyard stormed out, visibly shaken. It was a scene straight out of a political soap opera, and the headlines wrote themselves. Henyard had been outmaneuvered, her political ambitions derailed, at least for now.
This is my prime example of people that's puppet masters trying to control the narrative.
But Henyard didn't go quietly. Outside the auditorium, she vowed to fight back, claiming the entire process was rigged against her. According to her, many of her supporters were left out in the cold, literally. She had arranged for buses to bring in senior citizens to vote on her behalf, but many arrived late and were unable to get inside the venue, which had already reached its 600-person capacity. To Henyard, this was no coincidence. "This is illegal," she said, promising to take legal action. "I will be suing everyone tomorrow." As dramatic as her exit was, the fallout has been just as messy. Henyard's attorney argued that the caucus rules were selectively enforced and that her slate of candidates was unfairly disqualified. On the other side, Harris's camp maintained that everything was done by the book. His attorney pointed out that the rules had been made available in advance and dismissed Henyard's claims as baseless. "This is the process that's going on way before MEM, and it's just I'm exercising as committee man to hold a caucus," Harris said, defending the caucus as a legitimate and democratic tradition. For Harris, the caucus was a strategic triumph. By switching from a primary to a caucus, he effectively eliminated the need to face Henyard head-to-head in a larger election. Henyard, however, saw it as a calculated move to silence her and her supporters.
To me, there are perception issues with it that are right to get attention. Will the court look at those perception issues? Probably not, but the voters certainly should.
But while Henyard's political opponents celebrated their victory, her allies rallied around her, insisting that she still had a path forward. Her supporters argued that she could mount a successful write-in campaign, banking on her name recognition and loyal voter base. "I think enough people know her name to write her name in," said Keith Price, a vocal Henyard ally. "We could still win it." Yet, this isn't just about one lost election. Henyard's career has been plagued by scandal after scandal, and her critics argue that her latest defeat is a long overdue reckoning. Over the past year, she has faced allegations of corruption, reckless spending, and even misuse of township resources. reports have surfaced of township resources being spent on lavish trips, first-class flights, and expensive meals. One particularly jaw-dropping revelation detailed how Henyard allegedly spent tens of thousands of township funds on Amazon purchases, leaving critics to wonder how such spending could possibly benefit her constituents.
I've said for a while, it's like, grassroots. It was organic when a lot of this things started at the township, where the people were, just showing their displeasure.
And that's not all. Henyard's leadership style has been described as abrasive and confrontational, often alienating colleagues and residents alike. During a recent Dolton Village Board meeting, she doubled down on her defiance, proclaiming, "Like it or not, I am your mayor." Many attendees walked out or turned their backs to her as she spoke, signaling just how divided the community has become under her leadership. Adding to her troubles is the fact that Dolton has been without a permanent police chief for most of the year, leaving the department in a state of flux. Henyard's hand-picked interim police chief was recently forced out of the role after a judge ruled that he was unqualified to serve. Meanwhile, morale among Dolton police officers has reportedly plummeted, with many feeling unsupported and overburdened.
Just sacrificed 32 minutes to an individual that doesn't give a damn about anybody's time but hers. Okay.
The lack of a stable police leadership has not only caused internal disarray, but has also contributed to a public safety crisis in Dolton. Residents have expressed growing concerns about an increase in crime, with some blaming Henyard's administration for failing to provide the necessary resources to law enforcement. Critics argue that the mayor's focus on personal security, spending hundreds of thousands of township funds on her own police details, has left the community vulnerable. Even more alarming are allegations that Henyard has weaponized the police department for personal and political gain. Several local business owners have claimed that they were targeted for raids after refusing to make donations to events connected to Henyard. This chilling accusation has sent shockwaves through the community, with some business leaders calling it blatant abuse of power.
We cannot let her get back and to be the mayor, and we already know she's not gonna win that supervisor seat. That is done.
The controversy surrounding Henyard's leadership has also spilled over into Dolton's finances. Beyond the reported deficit, her administration has been accused of blocking grant funding intended for much-needed community projects. For example, a $400,000 grant meant to revitalize local parks is now at risk of expiring because Henyard's office has allegedly refused to issue the required permits. Park District officials have publicly criticized her for putting political grudges ahead of residents' needs, with one official stating, "The people of Dolton are paying the price for this petty feud."
The disrespect that you guys displayed at that mic is unbelievable.
These financial disputes have only deepened the rift between Henyard and her critics. Some trustees have even suggested that the mayor's financial mismanagement is intentional, with one trustee alleging that Henyard's push to drastically reduce the salary for future township supervisors is a calculated move to consolidate power. She's trying to ensure no one else has the resources to challenge her authority, the trustee said. This claim has fueled speculation that Henyard views her public roles as personal fiefdoms rather than positions of service.
My seat by 82%. Know this, I am gonna come through on a landslide just like Trump did. Know that I will be victorious in the...
Henyard's financial management has also come under fire. A report by former Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot revealed that Dolton's general fund balance had dropped from over $5 million in 2022 to a deficit of more than $3 million by 2024. The report highlighted numerous questionable expenses, including luxury purchases and unexplained credit card charges. Critics have called for greater accountability, with some even labeling Henyard as the worst mayor in America.
We're not your damn subjects. We are your bosses. We are the citizens of Dolton. And you will not continue to treat us like this because you are on the way out.
Despite all this, Henyard remains defiant. She has dismissed her critics as political opportunists and vowed to continue fighting for her constituents. In her words, the show will go on, but with mounting legal battles, ongoing investigations, and a community that seems increasingly divided, it's hard to see how she can recover from the political and personal blows she's sustained. Henyard's defiance, however, has not silenced calls for accountability. Community activists and watchdog groups have started organizing town halls and forums to demand transparency from her administration. Some have even proposed petitioning for a state audit of Dolton's finances, hoping to uncover the full extent of what they call unchecked corruption. One activist remarked, if she's innocent, she should welcome a full investigation, but if she's guilty, the people deserve to know the truth. These efforts signal that Henyard's challenges are not just political, they have become a grassroots movement for change. The public, of course, has been watching all of this unfold with a mixture of fascination and disbelief. Social media is abuzz with commentary about Henyard's latest controversies, with critics and supporters alike weighing in on her future. One commenter summed up the feelings of many. She didn't get a chance to speak. What's left to say? Bye, Felicia. Another was even more blunt. That woman needs to be arrested and her assets seized before she is put in prison for life. At this point, it's hard to tell what's next for Henyard. Will she manage to rally her supporters and stage a comeback, or will this be the final chapter in her tumultuous political career? One thing is certain, her story is far from over. As investigations continue and lawsuits pile up, the drama surrounding Tiffany Henyard shows no signs of slowing down. But as the dust settles on her latest defeat, one can't help but wonder, will this be the scandal that finally brings her down? Or will she once again defy the odds and emerge stronger than ever? Let us know what you think and stay tuned for more updates on this wild political saga.